From the Skyterra Wellness Retreat, this is the Inspired Intentions Podcast, where we help people build the skills and mindset to live a healthy life. Inspired Intentions listeners, welcome back again. It is beautiful outside. Beautiful. It's 58 degrees in the morning, 76 degrees in the afternoon, and you know what that means. It is spring, and spring has sprung. It's full on. There's pollen in the air.
It sure is.
And it is beautiful outside. We're getting out and doing hikes in the beautiful weather. Sunsets are beautiful. Sunrises are beautiful. Birds are chirping. How can you not love spring?
I can answer that question easily. The pollen.
The pollen. But if you don't recognize that voice, and some of you may not, that's a voice from episode 112, 124, and 126, none other than Shalom. How you doing, Shalom?
I am doing well, Alan. Thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely. And we are back here to talk about spring and not about the flowers or the pollen, which has gotten a hold of you.
It sure has.
But actually, we're here to talk about spring reset from a little bit of a different angle. But before we dive into that, Shalom, for those that don't know you, since it's been since 126 since you've been on here, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm one of the therapists here with Skyterra. I've been here for about 2 years. Again, so I've met some of you, and I also haven't had the pleasure to meet. But either way, yes, I'm one of the therapists here. So I work with adults, children, but obviously here at Skyterra, I work with everybody and anybody. Trauma is what I specialize in, but also I'm up for just any type of challenge.
I know I've talked with a lot of guests that have spent time with you, and Shalom is an excellent therapist.
Oh, thank you, Alan.
Yeah. And also really good at giving people some tips about spring cleaning their life.
Yes.
We have got a cool episode laid out for you all today. Now that spring has sprung, you may be thinking about cleaning out your house, but let's look at cleaning out your life a little bit. And so really, I guess this is all about not only cleaning your space, but maybe your digital space, your brain, social media, habit formation, the relationships in your life. We're going to touch on a lot of stuff. I think that reading through this message map, Shalom, there's a lot of good tips in here, and I think that everybody can pull something from this episode.
I would agree with that.
Sweet. So you want to get started? I kind of had a place that I wanted to start here.
Go ahead.
I want to think kind of before spring. So say it's wintertime, or just kind of creeping up to spring. And what are you kind of seeing out of folks building up to spring that they may need that spring reset? What kind of stuff are you seeing in our guests?
So oftentimes, coming off like those holidays and just the weather, a lot of seasonal depression. So, when we have time to reflect on relationships and how, oh, nobody invited me over for Christmas or Thanksgiving, or the holidays are now over. What do I get to look forward to? The weather's still cold. A lot of people are just dealing with toxicness from relationships, or just being able to acknowledge, like, I am so sad that I don't get to go outside, or because it's too cold. The weather stinks, and also the days are so short that, again, seasonal depression happens. So that's one of the things that I see in people coming off from that high winter holiday season with the weather.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I notice.
I notice a lot of guests during that like winter time that are coming from northern states down to us.
Yes.
I've noticed a lot of that over the years. Do you think that that's, I think it has a little bit to do with that winter cabin fever?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you here, when we get a dust of snow, it's exciting because we don't see snow every single day.
Right.
They are seeing that snow every single day. So just imagine walking outside and knowing that you have to drive to work in that, knowing that you have to still do life. Here, again, we get an inch of snow and the world kind of like stops for us because nobody can drive in the snow here. But they're expected to still continue their lives with, you know, cold windshield and all the snow on the ground and it's freezing. Like when that happens, I don't want to leave my house. Do you?
No, not really. I like to go play, and
Yeah.
I went to college and grew up near Boone, and there's a lot more
Go
snow
out.
there than go ASU, a lot more snow than there is here, but it sets a different tone. I can't imagine being in that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The big clothes, yeah.
Well, and imagine like cleaning that up just to get out of your driveway.
Yeah.
So again, it takes a toll not only physically but mentally, where it's like, when is the sun gonna come out again?
Mm-hmm. And I've met folks that maybe don't even get that much weather, but they're constantly in gray skies
Yes.
during the wintertime. Just overcast. One guest I'm thinking of in particular was talking to me about that, and that they came down here and they saw blue skies in the middle of the winter, and it was quite the feeling.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Even here, we get so much rain that after some time, when the sun shines, we're like, woohoo! Like, get out,
Yeah.
get out and play. So, yeah, seasonal depression is a real thing. Like, just looking at gray skies, cold weather, feeling like, what do I get to look forward to? That's a lot that I see in guests in here.
What areas of their lives is that affecting?
I would say mainly their mental health, but there's different pockets of that. So obviously it starts with our mental health, which is going to affect our physical health. For some of us, it's going to affect our spiritual health. And obviously that's going to affect just relationships around us at all times.
Gotcha. And is there anything else that you're seeing from our guests, kind of that pre-spring leading up to spring?
Yeah, lots of clutter. Lots of clutter, not just, in their closet, but just internal clutter that, again, things have piled up because we're not motivated enough to do anything about it, because it's really hard to just think about the next day whenever we're feeling stuck. So when we hear the word spring, it's like, man, I get to look forward to something. I get to look, forward to cleaning out my life in some way. So that is a common theme that I hear going from one season to the next.
And how are you coaching people once you've kind of identified one of these things that's going on? I mean, we kind of start to get closer to springtime, the days are getting longer, sun's warming up, and you're meeting with people and you've noticed that they've been in this funk, this seasonal depression, the feelings are there. And what are you coaching people on? What are some of the tips that you might have for folks on how to do that mental reset?
So obviously, first and foremost, like kind of seeing what has gone on in their life for the past 3 months. It's just really important to see what has led us to where we are today, and kind of, again, the decluttering. So for some people that might mean toxic relationships. For other people that might mean I haven't done, any physical exercise in the past 3 months because I've been making up excuses for myself. Or, again, the way that we kind of let ourselves go during the winter, because it's like, hey, I'll just put on a sweatshirt. Nobody will notice. I'll feel better about myself by wearing baggier clothes. So, yes, one of the first things that we're going to do is just identify what is the clutter in your life that has been causing you to get to where you are today.
Step 1, identify.
Yes, identify the clutter. Step 2 is, again, we're going to see, what would you like to do about this clutter? How would you like to move forward? So, for some people, that might mean we might have to cut some people out of our lives. For other people, it might mean that I just need to go through my cell phone and delete certain contacts, or I just need to delete things from my phone. For other people, it might mean just getting on a pathway of like a healthier way of eating. You know, I already know how to eat good, but coming up with a eat well. I already know how to eat well, but coming up with a meal plan and having the mental energy to do that is what I'm stuck on. So just identifying the stuck points, and it's how do we move forward? How do we kind of unstuck ourselves from that?
So is it always you were talking about separating yourself from people? Do you ever find that people need to actually repair rather than separate?
Absolutely. And again, that's going to be, don't take it as I need to cut everybody out of my life. But there are times where, identifying what the bigger problem is and doing some repair work around that. And then also understanding that, you're not in control of the whole situation. The other
Mm-hmm.
person has, a say in it as well. So, yeah, there are times where repair is a thing. And then there are times where removing that person from your life is also necessary.
And you find that when you're working with guests, that sometimes the pre-spring seasons have really separated them from those people in some way.
Absolutely. Again, when you have time to reflect on certain things and certain relationships, you can see, when a relationship is toxic. And one of the things that I ask guests or just people in general is like, after hanging out with this person, do you feel, you know, fueled up again, or do you constantly feel drained?
Yeah.
And if your answer is, I constantly feel drained after leaving, lunch or coffee with this person, I would say, why? What's the reason for that? Is it a one-sided relationship, or is it something that this person has done to you that you have held on to some kind of grudge where repair needs to happen, or again, this person no longer needs to be in your life?
I like to think of it as do you feel revived or do you feel exhausted?
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it. And I mean, again, every situation's going to be different, but um, one of the things that I ask people again is just recognizing that a relationship with your mom versus a relationship with a childhood friend is going to be very different from each other. But again, recognizing in what ways is this relationship either draining you or filling you back up. And conversations need to happen at times, but that's one of the things that in therapy we can work through and talk through so
Mm-hmm.
that you can find what is the stuck point and how would you like to move forward.
I think those are great tips. I had a curiosity because mine's lighting up right now. I'm getting emails like crazy. What about tips around this thing?
A cell phone, throw it in the trash.
Throw it in the trash. Because like I feel like during the seasons leading up to spring, and I hate and love this, but you get your notification of screen time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get those?
Absolutely.
I haven't turned it off. I know you can turn it off, but I think it's a good thing to stay vigilant about. But I think people spend more time on their phone leading up to spring, and I found that I want to fall into that trap still, even though I have more available outside time
Mm-hmm.
regardless. Like I shouldn't wake up first thing in the morning and hop on this thing with
Mm-hmm.
my coffee. I should go sit outside in the sun because it's actually sunny in the
Yes.
morning in the spring and enjoy that. Do you find that that's something that you talk people through?
Absolutely. That little machine on your hand, like it causes more mental health problems than people
Mm,
recognize. One of the things that we do is we tend to lose ourselves with, like I'll just mindlessly scroll for 5 minutes because, I'm doing nothing right now. But those 5 minutes then turn into 10 minutes. Those 10
right.
minutes then turn into 30 minutes. And before you know it, you've been scrolling for about 2 hours. And reality is, it's like you're not scrolling, like reading useful information. Most of the time, you are on social media wondering why, so and so is on vacation and I'm sitting here on my porch with the sun shining on my face, but still, it'd be better for me to be on vacation. Or just falling into the comparison trap of what I have, what I don't have. And I have never met a guest or just a client in general that says, spending time on my phone and scrolling through social media or whatever's on my phone through emails has improved my mental health.
I bet not.
If anything, I hear that as a common factor of like, I notice that the more time that I spend on my phone, the more that my mental health decreases. So I would say be mindful of that. I'm not saying get rid of all your apps, get rid of all your phone in general, but really be mindful of the time that you're spending just even touching your phone. Like literally, like keep count of how many times you tap on the screen to either check the time or just to check your notifications from the front screen, and you will be surprised of the unhealthy attachment that we have to these things.
And you think spring's a good time to try and kind of break yourself from that?
100%. Like, again, I understand we all want to take pictures and
Mm-hmm.
we want to, document the moment. But one of the things that I would say is just be present in the moment, be present, and then go journal about it. That's a
Mm.
good way to just like stay present with it and remind yourself of it. The other thing is like go buy a disposable camera, take pictures with that. So if you really want to, record the memory, like you don't have to have your cell phone for that. We make excuses as to why we need that thing with us 24/7,
Sure.
but I would say come up with alternatives. So if, pictures are important to you, then come up with an alternative of besides your cell phone camera, do you need to bring your real camera, a disposable camera, whatever it is, something that's not connected to the internet. And then as far as like, I hear people say, well, my work email's on my phone.
Mm.
Okay.
I hear that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what just lit up on my phone a couple times.
Exactly. And do work emails stop after 5?
No.
So
I want my answer to be yes, but it's
yeah,
no.
in all honesty, they don't.
Yeah.
And that's a big factor right there. When we are really trying to unplug from this and we see a notification of, a work email, we are prone to open that work email, whether it's
Mm.
Saturday morning, Sunday afternoon, or just Monday at 8 p.m. Like, we hold so much value in what pops up on these things. So either, turning off your notifications or just getting rid of your work email altogether. Separating environments is a huge thing for that I teach my clients where when I hear that people can't turn it off. So transitions. If you work from home, being able to set up a place where it is your office and you're
Mhm.
able to turn that off. When you are transitioning from your workplace to your home place, being able to transition well from one place to the other. So coming back to the cell phone thing, if we constantly have that thing ringing in our back pocket and it's work related, then we are not transitioning out of that. We are constantly keeping it on, and therefore it keeps us from just being able to enjoy the moment.
Right. Yeah. And I find that I do that more when I am stuck at the house and have nothing else to do and it's dark outside pre-spring.
Mm-hmm.
I find I want to do that less when I want to like go, chuck it with the dog after work or whatever. I don't want that thing buzzing in my pocket like it's literally doing right now.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the things to really keep in mind as we are spring cleaning. What is that clutter? What is that
Mhm.
clutter from that is keeping you from really experiencing the moment?
So it was kind of step 2ish is take a look at digital space. Um, would you say that step 3 would be your physical space?
Oh, absolutely. Like again, for the past 5 months,
Yeah.
probably, people have been cooped up, not really moving. And again, that's going to affect you in so many more ways than just your physical aspect. It affects your mental health. People do not realize how much not going outside can or can't make a difference in your life.
Mm.
So physical movement's going to be a huge thing. Yes, there's pollen. And yes, I can, sit there and make up excuses as to why I shouldn't go outside. But reality is there's always going to be something
Mm-hmm.
that we can, make up an excuse. In the winter, there's snow. I don't want to go outside. And, summer, it's too hot. I don't want to go outside. The fall, oh, it's chilly. I don't want to go outside. So again, it comes back to cut out the excuses and go outside.
How about like for their physical space in their homes? Like tend to find that over a period of months that I get little pockets, like everybody has the junk drawer.
Mm-hmm.
My junk drawer becomes a junk corner somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess a good example for me would be like my fly boxes get really hectic and then stuff's everywhere, and that's just piled up, and I just don't feel motivated to go do anything about it over the few months. Do you have any tips for folks on like?
Ooh, junk in your house. Yes, the junk drawer, which, like you said, then turns into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that really does. I see how clients and just people in general get affected by junk in our houses. So being able to sit down and like take everything out. It's time to clean out.
Mm-hmm.
Grab a trash bag.
Mm.
Like that's tip number one. Grab a trash bag. Um, for some people, they're like, "Oh, this is gonna get donated." It's not gonna get donated. Throw it in the trash. Do yourself a favor. And most of that junk drawer can't even be donated. Nobody wants that. So just grab a trash bag. If it's something that, like batteries, don't throw in the trash. But like what
That mail you've been holding on
oh
to,
gosh, just open it. Just open it. And if you don't need it, throw it in the trash.
yep.
So there's so much that we hold on to mindlessly that whenever we do take everything out, we recognize like, oh, these candles that were from, 5 years ago, I'm not going to use them again. And should I need candles again this year? Like I will go buy some new candles. But that's the kind of junk that we like hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say grab a trash bag, take everything out, and things that you haven't even thought about in the past month, throw it in the trash.
It's a good tip. Kind of get those spaces cleaned up.
Yes.
When I do something like that, I was actually kind of doing a little bit of that before you got here with my desk, and I was looking through I keep like a little stack of papers where like I don't want to throw this paper away. I don't want to file it away. I feel like I might need it, and then I accumulate.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was just going through that right before, maybe reading through this message map before it kind of sparked that for me. But I was like, I've got 15 different stapled packets of paper that I don't need here anymore, and it's just like taking up this space on my desk. I could shred this and be done with it. And that's what I just did. And
Yeah.
it feels really, really good.
And that's the thing, a lot of the times when we're trying to do better for ourselves, it's really hard for us to even see the bigger picture because of the junk in our lives. So again, this goes back to just all the things that we've talked about, like the clutter within your house, clutter within relationships, clutter within yourself, that it's really hard for us to even take a step forward when there is, have you ever seen the show Hoarders?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So imagine that within yourself. It's really hard to take a step forward when there's so much junk that you can't even see where your foot's going to go.
Sure.
So that right there is overwhelming in itself. But I would say start with one place. Don't look at it of like, okay, I need to go clean out my life, my junk drawer, and myself today. Like, just start with one place, because looking at those 3 things at once can also be overwhelming.
So that would be a great, we like to always give people like, well, what could they do today? How could somebody start with whatever the topic is? How could somebody start working on that today? That'd be kind of maybe what your step 1 is.
Yeah, identify like one thing that you need to clean out. Just one thing.
Start small.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And figure out how to make that a little bit tidier.
Yes. Again, whether it means a phone call, whether it means you are going to delete your email off your phone or your social media, or if you just really, truly just need to open up that junk drawer and throw everything in the trash.
Get rid of it.
Yes, get rid of it.
Spring cleaning.
Oh, yeah. Spring cleaning at its best.
So I guess to kind of recap here, we talked about some of the stuff we commonly see in guests, and folks obviously can consider coming to Skyterra because it's a great place to learn how to declutter many areas of your life. But kind of the 3 areas you talked about, step 1 would be to look at your surroundings with your relationships, those folks. Step 2 is kind of look at your digital space. And see what you can declutter there. And then step 3 would be kind of, what's your physical space look like that you spend the most time in, like my desk, right?
Yes,
or
yes.
that corner of your house that could be way more efficient if it was a little bit tidier.
Mm-hmm.
And then take whichever one of those, identify which one is the most important to work on first, and what small steps can you take towards that particular area.
Absolutely. And on that same note, obviously, if you are able to come to Skyterra, I would say start there. This is a great reset of just being able to step away from your clutter in order to have just a clear horizon of where you even need to start. And then I would say if you're not able to do that, then really sit down and recognize what is that one thing that you just need to get rid of or work on today. So just identifying that one thing that you have been meaning to do for a long time, but you haven't been able to get around to it. So take that step. And then thirdly, again, just recognizing clutter in your life. So do you have a toxic relationship? Is there someone that you need to either cut out of your life or just talk about boundaries with? So again, I am not saying we're going to cut everybody out of our lives, but there are people that conversations need to happen with, and we need to learn on how we're going to move forward.
Gotcha. That's a really, really, really clear roadmap for folks. Anything you think we missed? I think that's a great tip. I think there's a lot of good nuggets within that to kind of help folks spring clean their life as we move closer to summer. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so. I think, 3 clear tips, and I really encourage y'all to just take the first step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you listeners have any questions, you know where to find us, inspiredintentions@skyterrawellness.com. I can get your questions to Shalom or myself, or actually whoever. It doesn't have to be a question about this. It can be a question about anything. If you want to hear more from Shalom, again, she was on episode 112, 124, 126, a bunch of varied topics. Go back and listen to those. Those are all great episodes. I think my favorite of those was the triple. I think we had 3 mental health professionals on here, 112. That was a really good one. So thank you, listeners, for tuning in today. Shalom, thanks for coming on here and getting us some tips. I wish you the best with the pollen. The flowers are beautiful, and I'm fortunate enough that it doesn't bug me, but
lucky you.
We'll get through it.
We will. We'll
get through it, and enjoy spring.
You enjoy spring as well, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll have you back on soon, Shalom. Thank you so much.
The Inspired Intentions podcast is a production of Skyterra Wellness Retreat. Special thanks to our executive producer, Alan Broyhill. Send us your questions and comments to inspiredintentions@skyterrawellness.com. Subscribe on iTunes and everywhere podcasts can be found. If someone you know might benefit from this podcast, share inspired intentions with them, and give us a 5-star rating. Join us next week as we cut through the unrealistic noise on diets and fitness and show you how healthy living fits seamlessly into your already busy life. Thanks for listening.